Bristol, a city known for its maritime past, its industrial roots and its radical spirit. But hidden within its streets lies another story, one built on defiance, raw energy and the sound of furious guitars. In the 1980s, the underground pulse of punk transformed Bristol into a hotbed of rebellion. From crumbling dance halls like the Demolition Ballroom to the crowded back rooms of squats and pubs, bands like Lunatic Fringe gave voice to the frustrations of a generation. Through their music, they challenged the status quo, and in doing so, they left an indelible mark on the city's identity. But Bristol's punk scene wasn't just about noise. It was a movement, one rooted in DIY culture, political protest, and a rejection of authority. Its ethos spread far beyond the music, fueling an attitude that has shaped the city's art, activism, and alternative culture for decades. Today, the spirit of Bristol punk lives on, woven into the fabric of the city. This is the story of how that moment in time, a few short years of chaos and creativity, helped define the Bristol we know today. In the early 1980s, finding a place to gather wasn't easy for Bristol's punks. They were a subculture, often shunned by mainstream society, unwelcome in many of the city's pubs and venues.
No, you could go to very few, if any, pubs at those times because just the way you looked and you were marked out, and you just couldn't go in them. You'd go into a pub and they say no, or you wouldn't go into them because it was full of what we called at the time blads, which was towners. Well, we used to go to the Crown, which was one of the only pubs that would accept us the way we were at the time, and we used to go there, and they also used to put bands on in the back room, and yeah, and they were like a sort of down and out. Not many people went there. It was an old pub in Old Market, and I think they actually liked the fact that they had a pub full of people on Friday and Saturday night. We had to really set up our own places so that we could do our own music. We didn't have any choice because there was nowhere you could actually, very few venues, and so we had to make it ourselves. So the whole idea with anything like this was doing it was DIY. You're doing it for yourself without anyone else, without promoters or anything like that, so we just did it ourselves.
Here, at the Crown Tavern, they found refuge. This unassuming pub became a sanctuary, a place where punks could drink, play music, and escape the judgment of the outside world.
I've known of him for a lot longer than we know each other.
The Trinity Centre, once a church, became a temple of noise in the 1980s. With its cavernous interior and crumbling walls, it was the perfect venue for Bristol's emerging punk scene.
Well, Trinity Hall was... Oh, hello. That's it used to be in KSUK. But, so Trinity Hall was one of the...
Fight for your life, can you? Fight for your life, can you?
So yeah, the Trinity Hall, Trinity Centre was one of the only
Can I have
venues.
a corner of this chair?
Was one of the only venues in the city's bigger venues that we used to put gigs on. So a lot of the touring bands at the time, the bigger punk bands used to play there, and we used to support them. And then we put our own gigs. So that's where we put the first ever Bristol Punk Festival on, which we played at, along with a lot of the other bands we're playing today.
The Trinity wasn't just a place to see a show. It was a space of transformation, where the punk scene grew from an underground rebellion into something larger.
We used to play a lot of gigs, so I mean, mainly the Trinity Centre, which is like, it's now called the Trinity Centre, it used to be Trinity Hall back then. We used to squat a lot of places to play as well, you know. So that was kind of mad old times compared to now. It's very, whoa, steady on, dude. Compared to now, everything seems very kind of like locked down and controlled, but you know, there wasn't any internet, there wasn't no CCTV everywhere, you could get away with more stuff.
Though the venues have changed, their legacy remains. These were the places where music and rebellion collided. Bands like Lunatic Fringe found their voice and forged a movement that would echo through Bristol streets for decades to come.
It was amazing, really, in lots of ways, because it was like another world beyond normal society, I suppose you could say. It was like a refuge of, like, you know, the punk thing at the time, but a lot of really, you know, it was pretty hairy, to be fair. There was a lot of people there for the right reasons, and some people that were probably for not the right reasons. But you kind of still put up with it because you wanted to go and see the gigs. So.
It was pre-internet days, and you literally tell people about it within the city, and you would write a letter sometimes to people, because a lot of people were living in like shared houses without a phone, so you'd write a letter. You'd write a letter saying, we're doing a gig on this Saturday in Bristol, do you want to come down? So that was it. It was completely word of mouth, as in a lot of gigs are now. Although now you have Facebook, but still you know, a lot of people would be here today not through social media, but just through word of mouth. Like, oh, I want to go to this, stuff like that. So that's correct, because there was a real hunger for that sort of music, and that sort of music, and loads of people were really into it. But loads of people in Bristol were really into it, because that was a real hub. Bristol and Bath, of course, was a real for punk DIY music.
We used to organise shit tours of Europe by letter. You'd have to wait for the reply.
But yeah, that's how it all started. That's how we started. Lunatic Fringe and Disorder, all the bands that are playing here today, basically, all started there. Playing squatted venues, playing the Stonehouse, which is where a lot of us started, which is now like under the Spectrum building. But yeah, and pubs that were punk friendly, which were very few and far between.
Yeah, I think it's, well, I mean, when you're a kid and you hear, for me it was hearing the Sex Pistols, and you discover that it's an epiphany in as much as you understand there's somebody expressing how you're feeling, you know, that disaffection, that disconnection, and it's like, wow, you're not alone. And then you're basically totally committed to it, you know, you're totally, loyal to it, I suppose, really, because that's your, you know, that's something saying that it's expressing your difference, which is really good. You know, it gives, I think it's been profoundly helpful to a lot of people, you know.
Yeah. Sense of community, and then 45 years later we're still doing this shit.
Yeah.
Because we enjoy it. Because all our old friends from those days, those that are still here and alive or whatever, all come here, and we're sort of bonding as the community we was, you know, 45 years, which it was a long time ago now.
Yeah.
But we still enjoy the music. Oi, oi, Riotous Assembly 2025. Come in, there's room for many more indoors.
Hello, John! Hello, John!
As I said, we're Lunatic Fringe, the ultimate act in this Riotous Assembly pile of old punk rockers. We hope you enjoy it. Patrick!